We are live. What is up, everybody? Aaron the Dog back with another Bellator breakdown. Bellator 281 is here from London, England this Friday, May 13th, headlined by MVP versus now Logan Storley. Originally was supposed to face Amislav, but I think between Ukraine and everything going on right now, not able to really commit to fighting, so we have pretty much the same matchup. Honestly, it's a pretty similar matchup. Another world-class wrestler for MVP. So, kind of the days of, handling his matchmaking very cautiously. Can't really do that anymore after that split decision win over Lima last time he was in England, which he didn't win that fight. But as always, here with Lewis of Norton MMA. Lewis, how are you?
Yeah, good. Just a bit gutted that I can't get time off work to actually go and watch it, which is annoying. It's at Wembley, which is, it's bigger than the O2, which is where the UFC was. So, yeah, it's nice. It's a good card. It's got some good people. I've trained with a few of them, which is really nice to see. But I'm more excited about Paul Daley's retirement fight, to be honest.
Yeah, much easier retirement fight than originally with Koreshkov, also against Giacomello now. So we'll talk about that shortly. I kind of wonder if this is going to be Daley's retirement fight or not. I just don't see him going out with a Wellington Giacomello win, even if it's impressive. Like, that just doesn't seem like how Paul Daley's story is ended, but we'll see. And then Juan asking some weird question. I don't know. I think their eyes can still swell. So I guess that's how you would do it. But, we're going to go ahead and get into the breakdown here. There was a few later changes, one of which is the first fight of the night, which was announced late. Might have just been add Tapology late, though. But, that's where we're going to start. And we got 11 fights to break down here. So we're starting in the strawweight division with a fight between a former Ultimate Fighter competitor, two-time winner on the show, Lanchana Green, way back in the day, taking on I think the Beastly Barbie or something like that. The Beastie Barbie, Chiara Penco of out of Italy, been in the Bellator a few times now. So we'll start with the 32, nearly 33-year-old Mean Green Lanchana Green, 4-4-1, not including her time on the Ultimate Fighter, which would technically put her at 6-4-1, but those were exhibition bouts. She lost to Amanda Cooper by rear naked choke on the show. Amanda Cooper had a few wins. She had wins over Ashley Cummins and Helen Harper on the show. When she was originally on the show, mostly a kickboxer when she was on the show. Now she has kind of well rounded out her game, has a few submissions along the way. Had a knockout in her last fight as well. Besides Murata, not a super high level of opponents here, and Murata did choke her out with Ryzen back in 2018. She's finished all four of her wins, or all four of her official wins. She's finished. Yep. She has. She's decently well rounded. I think she's going to come into this fight. I think this is going to be a pretty close fight, honestly. I think both these girls are pretty similar skill level, if I'm being honest. Main event's going to be great, Manny. But, we'll go over to Chiara here, Penco. She's been in the Bellator a few times. Now 1-2 overall in Bellator, coming off of a win in her last one to go to 6-3. 5'4", 26. So she's the younger of the two opponents. That's one of the bigger differences here. I think she'll be the slightly longer opponent as well. Based on probably a pretty similar level of competition, both of them losing their highest level bouts. She has a bout with Danny McCormick. I know McCormick just lost, but I still think pretty good opponent. Went to a decision there. She's been much more active. She's gone 1-1 last year, lost her Octagon fight while actually going 2-2 with Bellator, not 2-1 with Bellator, not 1-2. Finished both her fights with Bellator. Both these girls can kind of do it everywhere. I think they're going to mix it up. I think it's a pretty close fight. I mean, I'll go with the younger fighter here, but not one I'm betting on at all. But I'll go with Chiara. here against Lanchana. Just been more regular, a little younger.
Yeah, I mean, both women have fought very similar, level opponents. Both girls seem to be pretty tough as well. I know Green is pretty tough. It's one where I think the skill level is, as you say, pretty evenly matched. I think the odds are a little at this. I never understand how the odds are nearly a 3-1 favorite for Penco here. That makes
just familiarity, I would think, from being in Bellator.
Yeah, that's a little off to me. But so in that sense, it might be worth a punt on Green. But from knowledge of, actually watching these girls, from all the tape I could find on Penco, not a lot. Didn't look overly impressive. Whereas the China Green actually presses the pace. She has a full mixed martial arts game plan. She's not great everywhere. She can be finished as well. It's I don't know where this is going to go. This is you want to sit on the fence so bad. So because it's a 50-50 fight for me, I'm just going to back the Brit.
Yeah, I mean, plus minus 230 on Penco here. Plus 185. She's 2-1 in the Bellator. Sorry, I almost said UFC 4 times now. 2-1 in Bellator. I mean, I think that has to do with her being younger. She, but again, I mean, Lanchana has a couple, decent wins on her resume. They both faced and lost to their best opponents here. And then Zero Bob, man, MVP at plus 230. Trust me, I already noticed that. We'll talk about that more when we get to the fight here. But yeah, we're going to disagree on the first fight. This is a very buyer beware fight. I wouldn't put a lot on it, but I'll go with Kiara here, Penco. But hopefully it's a good fight. I do think these ladies are, similar skill level. So sometimes you get the female Bellator prelims that are very questionable. But honestly, from here on out, I'm looking forward to the prelims. No offense to the first fight, but first fight, not so much. But from here on out, I think this should be a really fun and entertaining prelim, starting with UK favorite Lee Chadwick, now fighting at his proper weight class. Still a complete beast. Taking on a guy who he was fun to watch. Was not familiar with Macias Rozanski before this, but Spartan, I was able to watch him quite a bit. These guys really mirror each other, completely. I mean, you have two large mid-30s, now 205ers who used to cut a lot of weight here. I think this is going to be a really interesting fight to see how these guys deal with each other. They're both very physical, very strong, both like to wrestle, set up with their boxing. So it'll be interesting kind of see these two meet in the middle of the octagon. 13-3 for Macias. 33 years old. He is younger by about 4 years here. Berserker team last April, 3 straight wins for him, 6'1", 74-inch reach. Both these guys pretty compact for the 205 division. Both these guys good submissions. You see the win over Will Fleury back in 2020. That's a very good win by arm triangle in the second round. Unfortunately, wasn't able to find the fight, but obviously a good result to have. Fights with ACB as well, having mixed results there as well. Venator taking on Jack Hermanson over there and going to the decision in 2015. So he's tested himself throughout. Had
long time ago now, isn't it? Yeah, long time ago.
It is. I mean, 2015. It's long. Yeah. 7 years now. Yeah. I mean, but still, I mean, you'd still get an idea of the level. Yeah. Jack Hermanson was at 10-2 at the time. Definitely. Jack Hermanson was well known throughout his cage. I mean, I think it's more. I like the fact that he started his career with the 1-2s, the 2-2s, the 4-2s, moved his way up. Since kind of being up there, I mean, he was trying to take on Alan Amadovsky before Jack Hermanson, so that kind of lets you know. I know Amadovsky at this point is washed, no value.
Back in 2015,
that was a real name, and so. Definitely. And then Will Fleury in 2020. That's a great win to have on there as well. I mean, he likes to get the fight down. I was able to watch the Zukowskis fight from a few fights ago. Slick von flu choke for sure, but definitely a little bit of a low level. I have some concerns over the level of his competition, even though a lot of them have good records or plus records. Montes kind of stayed in a position where he was getting threatened for quite a while there. I don't think Lee Chadwick would do that. 27-15 for Lee Chadwick. 2 straight wins. He's been looking very, very good lately. He's got a 4-inch reach disadvantage here, going to be slightly shorter of the 2 opponents here, but seeing the Arunas Adderviscus fight last, definitely a fight he was not expected to win against a very highly touted prospect out of, I believe, Lithuania.
We both picked Arunas, didn't we?
Yeah, and I mean, Chadwick just made it his kind of fight. Before that, wore down Ederson Christine Macedo, a very big opponent at 205. Dispelled that there was any issues about getting inside on that reach or the size or anything there. Imposed as well, got to that arm triangle. I think this is going to be a very, very good fight. These guys match up really, really well together. Macias has taken his time getting over here. I really do. I am excited to see him. I think it's going to be a close fight. I do kind of worry about Lee on the feet if he's not able to get this to the ground, though. If either one of these guys gets to the ground, I think they could really stay on top of their opponent for a good amount of the fight or round once they get it there. Rozanski is going to have a reach advantage here. I think he's going to have the speed advantage. He's got a little bit better of a gas tank at this point in their careers, but there's just kind of something magical about Lee as well. And I'm just trying to look at this one. I do think Rozanski is the more pure 205er, though. I do think that, and I think
Lee just liked working out. He doesn't like his weight. Yeah,
exactly. And Lee is getting a little bit older up there. The Runas fight, was a very, very close fight, but it was impressive. I mean, the Carl Moore fight, even from a while ago, the split. I mean, it's going to be a close fight.
Carl Moore is an absolute unit.
Absolutely. It's going to be a really close fight, I think. I just think Rozanski's able to hit Lee a little more on the feet, is a little more active, and I think both these guys are going to cancel each other out with the wrestling. So I'm going to edge towards Rozanski ever so slightly, but this is a very close fight. I'm a little bit surprised to see the odds so wide here. So
yeah, especially after Lee's last fight, like how he can still surprise you. And when you get
a young guy in Arunas was in his mid-20s. He was ready to go.
If Lee gets on top of you, his grappling is phenomenal. He's always competed in grappling. He's at a submission camp. Like, he's a very good English wrestlers don't really exist, but he's one of them. He's a big boy. He can wrestle. Loves a power double. Does great trips from a body lock as well. And I can definitely see him getting on top. And if he does get on top of Massage, then I think he's in shit. He's in trouble. But reverse it.
Rozanski's in trouble. You're saying?
Yeah. But if you reverse it, I think Lee's not great off his back. He's a top heavy grappler. So.
And then what happens if it's on the feet? Which is probably what's going to happen.
Lee's going to struggle. Lee's going to struggle if he can't get it to the ground. And from what I've seen, what was that? Chadwick walks away with a cane, or should? Yeah. I mean, Lee on the feet isn't superb. He's not awful. He can hold his own. He likes to exchange in the pocket more than using a jab or any form of footwork. He's very stagnant.
I also don't think Lee has a 72-inch reach.
I do. I'm 6 foot with a 72-inch reach. It's just because he's so sizable.
No, he's got pretty short arms.
That's because his chest is so big. It's his perspective. That's fair. Yeah. But no, I'm going to back Lee on this as well, especially being in London. He's fought in London a bunch. The Polish, they got a big reception here as well. A lot of Polish community in England. So I think it's going to be a hometown fight for him as well, really. I'm excited to see
that win over Will Fleury is really another part for me for Rozanski and kind of shows his level on the ground. I get Will Fleury's a smaller guy, but also leads at 185 or fighting at 205 now.
He doesn't have stubby arms. He's just perspective because his body's a beer keg. His massive chest make his arms look small. Yeah,
I will say I don't love Rozanski's price here. -210, I think is crazy. +170 on Lee Chadwick. I feel like it's a close fight where it's two grapplers probably who are going to strike it out for 15 minutes. So
has he fought outside of Poland yet as well?
Rozanski, let's see. I believe most of his career has been in Poland, and also Rozanski came into his last fight at like 203. So I do think Lee's going to be the bigger of these. But we'll see. Rozanski, let's see, mostly fights in EFM. So EFM, let's see. Where's ACB is in Poland.
Yeah.
EFM, yeah, it's mostly Poland. So that's definitely he did win the light heavyweight championship his last time out. It was went 5 rounds, so those are good indications too. But yeah, he hasn't been out of Poland too often, if ever. So for his career, so should be an interesting one. Next fight, this fight. Oh my god,
these fought some big names as well. Multiple countries. It's just something to consider.
And then Kelly saying he's Polish. Are you worried about his fight IQ? Thoughts? And is he on? And he is on Team Berserker. But we're on to the next fight here. Mr. Charlie Ward makes his return. Charlie Ward, now 41 years old. I mean, man. I can get one read. He's on all of the supplements for sure. I have no doubt about that.
No.
Taking on Alan Carlos, the Brazilian Viking versus Ruthless, combined age of 79, 80 years old here for this fight at 185. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. If this is a fight you're looking to bet heavily, I would tell you not to. Just straight up, Charlie Ward is a minus 410 favorite coming into this fight against Alan Carlos. It really is. Alan Carlos, 38 years old. He did have a win. Last fought in April of 2018. This is just the kind of guys Charlie Ward likes to fight. Norman, here's a name. Norman Parisi was the last fight that Alan Carlos had. He did win that. But do you remember Norman Parisi from back in the day?
Yeah.
Yeah, Cage Warrior regular. Hasn't fought in a long time.
I think I was there for 93.
Yeah, well, then you must remember that thrilling decision Alex Carlos had over Norman Parisi. It was his last fight. He was supposed to fight in October of 2018. And that fight got canceled due to an Alan Carlos injury. He hasn't been back or had a fight scheduled since then. Got knocked out by Jack Hermanson with Cage Warriors.
I'm pretty sure Nicholas Dolby was headlining 93. If I went to it, it would have been Dolby versus.
Okay, let's see. My boy Dolby. Let's
Soren
see if
Bach,
this
I
is
think,
that.
was on it as well. I think it was
the rocket scientist. Soren Bach, who got 30-27 over Charlie Leary last week. Horrible stuff. Pedasoli did beat Nicholas Dolby by split decision. Soren Bach beat some Jacobson guy in the second round. Jack Grant had a win.
Alex Jacobson.
Jacobson.
Oh, yeah, wow. Jack Grant faced Dekayev.
Yep.
That was it. Yeah, I was there.
So maybe you'll have a little bit to say about Alan Carlos when we get there. Honestly, this fight is just this is, I think, one of this fight and the first fight of the night are just not great fights. I don't exactly understand how Alan Carlos is here for this fight, other than to give Charlie Ward another potential knockout victim. That seems to be what Charlie Ward's doing. He hasn't lost to Papi Abedi on his record. I mean, just some of the losses and some of the names on his record are hilarious. Been finished quite a bit as well. Likes to get the fight to the ground to get most of his wins. Definitely against a guy like Charlie Ward, you're going to look to take him to the ground. Charlie Ward probably just comes in there and swings for the first 3 minutes and hopefully connects with Alan Carlos's chin, or else Alan Carlos can kind of just lay on him and maybe grind out a decision. But man, it's not, this ain't pretty. Charlie Ward, 41 years old now. Last thing that goes to power, first thing that goes to cardio. So I think after the first 2 minutes, if you have a bet on a minus 400 Charlie Ward, you are nervous. That's his odds right now, minus 410. So just based on that, dog or pass. And my pick, I don't know, Alan Carlos by submission. I have no idea.
You have no idea what kind of human. It says Alan Carlos, but that could be a completely different human coming into.
Yeah, they might put another person in there and just be like, "This is Alan." It's like he doesn't even have tattoos. This is Alan Carlos. It's like Papi Abedi may show up on Saturday and fight Charlie Ward. That'd be a great fight. Papi Abedi would probably knock him out. I don't know.
I mean,
Poppy Betty, this guy. Poppy
Betty.
Betty.
An easy fight. That's what they're doing. So
yeah, at 41.
Don't overthink.
They're apparently still not sure. Like, can Charlie Ward fight?
Yeah, I don't know why. It's not exactly like it's in Belfast or something as well. But yeah, don't overthink.
Like what?
Ward's gonna win.
Okay, I think that's enough.
He's been competing.
5'11" Charlie Ward is this fucker. And he was minus 500. It's been bet down to minus 410. Because a bunch of people saw Charlie Ward at minus 500. They're like, we'll take the other guy.
I'd love Alan Carlos to win. I'd love that.
Sure. Yeah. Why not? Alan Carlos. It's probably going to be Alan Nascimento who shows up. It's like, who knows? Like, it's just a complete mess. But next fight. This fight, I don't understand why this fight is here. But bring the Heisman Award winner, New York Knicks, Charlie Ward to face. I'd watch that fight. Bare knuckle. BKFC is probably trying to make that fight happen. But next fight here is a very good featherweight fight. Don't know why this guy is so low on the card. That is Andrew Fisher, because that last fight against Robert Whiteford, he won that fight until that eye poke that Whiteford took the fight out. Straight up. Fisher was looking extremely aggressive in that fight. He was looking like he was on his way to a finish. He looked really confident in it. I liked everything I saw. And meanwhile, he got a no contest for that fight because of the eye poke that Whiteford ended up having. And now Whitford's on the featured prelim and Fisher's on like the fourth prelim of the night. So really weird, placement, but very good fight here. Attila Korkmaz, I'll be talking about first here. The Fearless, 12-6. A lot of tape on him, mostly older tape, but still a lot of tape. Taekwondo style striker. He likes to spin with a lot of his strikes at times. He's got decent wrestling. He's decently well-rounded. So we'll switch stances at times. 5'8", a smaller side of the featherweight. He's definitely not a massive featherweight at all. Trained with Hasperas back in the day in Germany. Definitely like to see that at Spitfire Gym in Berlin. Last fought with UAE Warriors in September of last year. Got a decision win there over Bakhtari Toychubayev. Martoon, UAE been very tested there in his two fights. ACA as well. Went 1-1 there. Had a loss to Levan Makashvili. Makashvili, not a terrible guy, not amazing, but again, went to a decision with him back in 2019. Not terrible. Last few wins have been by decision, but he is a pretty decent striker. He'll mix in the wrestling at times. Definitely has tested himself throughout his career with ACB, ACA also. Overall, he's a well-rounded fighter, taking his time to get here. Not a super crazy level of power, but does throw a diverse amount of strikes and things like that. Moves in and out well. Like I said, switch stances as well. Andrew Fisher. Andrew Fisher, definitely the more well-known commodity, the veteran, the UK 18-8-1. That one was an eye poke. I really think he was on his way to finishing that fight early. 5'10", 68.5-inch reach. It's 36 years old now. Last October, like I said, getting that eye poke against Whiteford. I picked Whiteford going into that fight. I definitely was wrong. That would be 5 straight wins if you go back since his loss by decision to Norman Park. Diego Vargas, not a bad fighter, but then Nicholas Backstrom, very impressive win with ACB by decision. Ended short against a Cox Stepnian, but very good competitive fight until the leg injury. Then Ashley Grimshaw handled him pretty well over in Bellator Euro Series last 2 Octobers ago, I should say. And like I said, the Whiteford fight looked really good. He's looking very confident coming into this fight. Fisher's looking strong. I think Fisher's going to be extremely aggressive and assertive in this fight. I really like him to make a statement here. I think he did so against Whiteford and feels he didn't get the credit. And I don't think he lets this fight go too deep. I like him to finish Attila inside of the distance in this fight. I just don't think Attila's fought anybody to Fisher's level as of now. And I do think Fisher knows at 36 he's on borrowed time. Now is the time to make that run. And he definitely is over beyond the prelims. And if you lose to Attila, you're on the prelims the rest of your career. This is a huge fight for Fisher. And I think he takes it.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough job finishing someone like Attila. But
Attila's very tough.
I'm with you 100%. I think Andrew's going to come out and he's going to dictate the pace. He's going to settle into the range nice and easy, and he's going to have a chip on his shoulder from that last outing for sure. Home crowd as well, massive advantage. Attila's going to get booed the shit out of, so I wonder how he'll deal with that as well. It is a step up in level. Andrew's not a world beater, but it's more mental with him than the technical ability. He's got all the ability. So I like Andrew Fisher.
Andrew Fisher reminds me a lot of Davey Grant. Like a guy who a lot of the mistakes he was making early have become like more strengths as he's gone. And again, like he has good power. Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, Attila, as Kelly points out, never been finished. I'm not advising betting the prop here. Yeah. I'm not advising betting the prop here, but at the same point, Andrew Fisher under -200 right now. You can bet that straight up. You can put it in a parlay or two.
I like him by decision personally.
Yeah. I just think he's really wanting to make a statement. I think he's going to be frustrated seeing Whiteford ahead of him on the prelims. Like, I think that's great motivation. So yeah, that should be a good one. And yeah, the 4th and 5th bouts, if these stay this way, are two of my favorite fights on the night. Next fight is at 155 and a very good UK on UK fight here. We got Alfie Davis, one of my favorites in the division, who's unranked, versus Tim Wilde, another guy I really, really like. This is an outstanding fight here.
This is a dead even fight for me. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, against two UK fighters. I'm kind of surprised they didn't give these guys different opponents. Honestly, this is about as even as it gets, right down to the records: 14-4 for both, 5-11 for both. Tim Wilde is the longer fighter, a 4-inch reach advantage, but ironically, I think it's Alfie Davis who's going to be the one who's wanting this fight on the outside with his style and everything, while Tim Wilde is going to be the one to more crash to pressure, work the inside, make it more of a phone booth fight. Tim, the experiment Wilde, he's just, he's been around for a while, man. 34 years old now. He's on a 2-fight win streak with Bellator. Karate style fighter, very well-rounded, but definitely the ground is where I think he has a little more of an issue, but that's not going to be an issue in this fight here. There's going to be no go-go platas attempted like with Brent Primus. Charlie Leary got a legit decision win over him and over Yves Landau in his last fight. Those are two good, crafty wins. These guys were supposed to fight a while ago, and Alfie had to pull out last fight, actually. So they reset this one, and this is one I can understand them resetting completely. The win over Anthony Dizzy by KO on Golden Ticket Fight Promotion, a really good win. Actually, Anthony Dizzy is one of my kind of favorite, like, random European fighters that's never going to be great, but if you have a win, particularly a finish over him, that's a real statement for me.
Also, Golden Ticket's under the radar, but Golden Ticket's a great promotion. Yeah,
exactly. He's been with Cage Warriors back in the day. He has lost to Alexander Jacobson, who we talked about a little while ago, beat Mikel Lebeau. I mean, it's just, he's faced a good level of competition for a long time between Cage Warriors and Bellator. He's a staple. And Alfie Davis is a decision and, a tactical machine. Alfie Davis is, right? Very good leg kicks. His strongest part of his game is his IQ, in my opinion. Along with those kicks, called the X-Man because he's got that Taekwondo style. London shoot fighter. Obviously, Lewis Long last week had some troubles in that fight, but still,
Lewis Long is in Cardiff, in Wales.
Okay, my
Yeah.
bad. I thought it was with
Matt
shoot
Academy.
fighters.
No, Matt Academy.
My bad. I thought it was with shoot fighters. My bad. Coming off that loss to Alexander Shevley in his last fight, Shevley, one of those looking like very legit Russian prospects. I mean, and then you look at all his wins and their decisions where he's just setting up the leg kick, setting up the movement. His opponents are having trouble crashing the distance. He's got good takedown defense. I just think this is going to be a really, very, very close fight. I like both guys quite a bit. I do think that Tim Wilde does have the, IQ, I think that's necessary to help crack the code of Alfie. I think he has the power at times to put Alfie a little bit too far onto his back foot, maybe control and cut off the cage a little bit. I'm going to go with Tim Wilde in this fight. He's going to have to get a little bit wild at times, I think, to win it. But very close fight. Both guys are very good. Wouldn't surprise me if Alfie takes it, but I'll take Tim Wilde by decision.
You had a really good point in there, which was his fight IQ is his best attribute. I also agree. I think he's really good at winning rounds. He just knows how to win a round better than most people. Mate, I really like Tim Wilde here. Personally, I think he's reckless. Like, he'll throw everything, caution to the wind. And I
was thinking of Mike Shipman's London shoot fight. Yeah, who I called losing last week.
Oh, right. Okay. He is LS. Who's LS? What?
No.
I can't read the comments.
Mike Shipman.
Okay. I like Tim Wilde here. I think he's going to crack the code of Alfie. He's coming off a loss. Look, Tim's got a really reckless game about him, but he packs a punch, man. And I don't think Alfie's actually fought someone that can hit as fucking hard as Tim. He's very underrated, and I think he's got all I've been hearing at the moment is he's had an exceptional training camp. But the only difference is I haven't heard a lot out of Alfie Davis right now out of Shoot Fighters, but he's training with MVP Darren Stewart. I know Jimmy Wallhead's down there at the moment. Mate, there's some absolute fucking killers at Shoot Fighters right now, so I wouldn't be prepared. This is a dead even fight, and I'm so on the fence about it all. But I'm actually just backing Tim Wilde. I like that he's an underdog as well. So, and my dog popped up, so I'm going with the underdog here.
Yeah, slight dog at minus 105, minus 125 currently on Alfie Davis. I would expect
It's going decision. I'm telling you that. It'll be a win.
Yeah, I would think it goes decision as well. So yeah, it should be. I think those two are two of the best fights of the night. Moving on to the next fight here. This is at 125 pounds. We have Kate Jackson taking on Alina Kalanduna. This is an okay fight. I mean, it's Bellator female prelim fights, so kind of know what we're signing up for a little bit here. Alina Gunnar Kalandun. I'm just going to call her Alina from here on out, the Greek fighter. As a loss by decision to Sinead Kavanagh back in the day when she was like 19 years old. She's only 23 now. 5'6", 66-inch reach, 8-4. So very good level of experience here for Alina so early on in her career. That's one of the main positives. Coming off a win by heel hook, was supposed to face Lucy Bertaud originally, and Lucy ended up withdrawing. We saw Lucy come up just on the positive end in her last fight. Losses to Bruna Ellen and Beck Rawlings. The Beck Rawlings fight, particularly in February of 2020, that's a big concern. Was controlled way too much in that fight. Other losses coming really early on in her career.
Beck Rawlings sucks. Let's be frank.
Yeah.
Rawlings is not good.
That was Beck Rawlings' final win too. She'll never win again. But again, faced Sinead Kavanagh when she was 18 years old. Faced Anastasia Yankova when she was 19 years old. I mean, she was been a pro since she was 16. So those are definitely, those are definitely interesting little tidbits with Alina. Very likely with each fight, she's coming in a better and more improved fighter for quite a while at her point in her career. So that's what I will say. Kate Jackson, much more established fighter. The veteran fighter here, the UK 11-5-1. She's been on The Ultimate Fighter before. She's done it all. She's 35 years old now. Lost 2 straight fights. Hasn't fought since October of 2020. These are all definitely concerns, but her last 2 losses were to McFarland and Kielholtz. We'll talk about Kielholtz shortly here. Even Lena Oicheknova who she ended up winning against the 12-5 fighter as a win over Anastasia Yankova. Anastasia's first loss, faced Valerie Letourneau. So she's been facing really high levels of competition lately. Alina is most likely the one who's improving more as the fights go here. And yeah, Kate Jackson, yeah, she's the one who got knocked out by Denise real bad in her last fight. So, I mean, I'll go with Alina here. Alina just, I think, has a lot more left in the tank. But, I mean, Kate's been in there with some of the best fighters, especially in Bellator. So, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if Kate gives Alina a lesson here, but I'll take Alina, and I'll take her to get a decision.
It's another good point as well. It might be teaching her a lesson. She might be a step ahead of her. I like that she's taken time off after being KO'd. Like she got her brain scrambled in that one against Kielholtz. It's a very difficult one to pick for me because Alina suddenly she'll look like she's evolved and matured above her years, and then the next fight you'll see and she looks absolute rubbish. She looks terrible. She looks like she can't walk properly. Her movement's shit. She just like plods along without throwing the output or without pocket trading, which is if you've got a plodding style where you're not using movement, you better punch hard and you better be able to sit in that pocket and trade. Much like Carlene Blanco, she doesn't move a lot, but she sits in that pocket and she hits hard. And if she can get on her bike and keep Kate Jackson at bay and just tippy tap her around and frustrate her, the openings will come and she can land the big shots that she needs. For me, I wouldn't bet on it.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
But I'm also going Alina. I think 2 years off for Kate. How much motivation has she got to get back in there at mid-30s now? This isn't going to be a massive payday or anything. So she works full time still. I think Alina will grind out a decision against Kate, and I think it'll be a good win for her. Great experience and get her back on track. She's still young, like she's many years younger than me now. So
Alina's the plus 120. Yeah, plus one. Alina's plus 125 right now. Kate Jackson, the minus 150 favorite. I mean, again, I'm not betting it. Yeah, but another underdog here on the card. We had quite a few come through last week. We'll see about this week, but we return to the normal fights on the card here. This is a very good fight in the welterweight division. Oliver Enkamp taking on Mark Lemminger here. This is a very good matchup. Interested to see how this one goes. Oliver Enkamp, the karate taekwondo style fighter out of Sweden. Fighting out of Pancrase Gym in Sweden, 6 foot, 76.5-inch reach, nearly a 7-inch reach advantage. Just under 31 years old now, taking on the 29-year-old Wisconsin wrestler I've chosen for you, Jim, and Mark Lemminger here. 6 foot, 70-inch reach, so about 7-inch reach disadvantage here for the wrestler. Could make it, I think, at times tough to close the distance. Last fought in September of last year, where he did lose the fight. He had actually gone one of his last three. Got knocked out pretty cleanly by Neiman Gracie.
That's embarrassing.
That's not good. We saw how Neiman Gracie looked in that last fight there as well, and definitely didn't look like a world beater on the feet at all. I think because of how successful Gracie was against Lemminger, it led to a very confident Gracie on his feet. And knockout of DeMarcus Jackson in the second round. Good enough win. DeMarcus, really not a legit 170er, but still. Jaleel Willis and Amasov. It was a cut over his face. It was a competitive first round, honestly. I'll give him that, but I think Amasov was getting ready to kind of take over in that fight. Jaleel Willis definitely with the strikes. Got knocked out by Jason Witt back in the day as well in 2018. It was a pretty bad knockout. He ended up coming back with the Ben Eagley win, being the best of the three. Afterwards, Ben Eagley is a tricky jiu-jitsu player. But otherwise, guys like Rocky Edwards were able to kind of rock him at points. With Lemminger, the wrestling's good. The stand-up's pretty rudimentary. And for Enkamp, his wrestling defense is very good, and his stand-up is very good. Very diverse, powerful, a lot of spinning attacks, a lot of ability to finish here. I would think that as long as Oliver's mind is P's and Q's on his takedown defense, he should be able to cruise to a decision or end up finishing Lemminger. Lemminger is there to be hit, really suffers from bad head movement, and Oliver Enkamp is tough to take down. I think this takes place on the feet, and eventually Enkamp gets him out of there by KO. I like Oliver a lot in this spot, though. 10-3 overall. He looks very comfortable with Bellator. He did lose to Kruchmer in their last fight, and Kruchmer was able to get the fight down when, Lemminger's going to win this fight. His wrestling's going to have to be working. I've seen a couple people on Lemminger. I'm not seeing it, though. I like Oliver Enkamp here. I think he takes a decision, or, in my opinion, he gets a KO finish.
Yeah, I mean, if Lemminger can take him down at will, it's Lemminger's fight all day. And that's probably why you can see people on him. They believe that Lemminger's just going to take him down and snooze old John Fitch style. That's the way you can beat Oliver Enkamp as part of Lemminger.
He's going to have to do that, yeah.
Yeah, I don't see him doing it for 15 minutes. And on the feet, there is such a difference in striking level. Like, Oliver Enkamp isn't even like a world-class striker. He's a very decent striker. And it just shows how rudimentary and unevolved Mark's striking has been. He is what I would, if someone said to me, "What's Bellator like?" I would say Mark Lemminger. That's what Bellator is like in comparison to other organizations. He's like the perfect Bellator fighter. Nothing great, nothing crap. He's a decent level. But I'm with you. I think Oliver Enkamp can finish him as well. I think you might see Mark take the first round through but in the second, he's going to come out exhausted. He's working that much to try and get him to the floor. And once he gets him there, Oliver can get up. It's not like that's it. Job done. So, no, I like Oliver as well. I think any way on the feet, he can win.
Yeah. This is one of my favorite plays early on the prelims, or in the prelims, I should say. -185 plus 150 on Mark Lemminger. I like Enkamp quite a bit there. I think you can pair up Enkamp, with Andrew Fisher early on, get to a nice even money parlay. I think those two should take their fights. Significant experience advantage and just overall
put him with Charlie Ward. Put him with Charlie Ward.
Nah, we don't need any Charlie Ward in our lives. But we're gonna move on to what is the feature prelim as of now. They might switch this around. But we're at 145 again. We talked about Andrew Fisher a little while ago. And this is Robert Whiteford we're talking about here. Of course, my pen is out of ink, but that's okay. I'll figure it out here. As I go. This fight isn't a great fight at all between two aging featherweights here in Daniel Vaishel and Robert Whiteford. For whatever reason, this is the featured prelim. I was less than impressed with 39-year-old Robert Whiteford in his last fight out of Scotland. He's 2 years older than Daniel Vaishel, who Vaishel just seems to be aging at a rapid pace at this point. But Whiteford, 16-4 overall. 4 straight wins if you're not counting that last fight with Andrew Fisher where he did lose, but he was eye-poked, so it was a no contest. Before that, was able to knock out Sam Sicilia in 2019. Kane Moussa, he got a split over with ACB in 2018, Nam Pham. I mean, just pretty low-level, fights here. His UFC run was less than stellar. He had a win over Paul Redmond and lost to Darren Elkins and Lucas Martins. I definitely didn't see a rejuvenated Whiteford coming back against Daniel Vaishel at all. I saw a guy who looked like he'd been off for 2 years and was coming back and realized he was in a fight with a guy who was ready in Andrew Fisher and wanted out of there. He's now facing another even older fighter in Daniel Vaishel. Daniel Vaishel looked less than impressive his last time out. He's looked severely slowed down, but at least Daniel Vaishel is still fighting with regularity. I mean, at 41-13, you don't really have a choice otherwise. He lost his last fight back in November. He's allegedly only 37 years old, but, again, decision loss to Pedro Carvalho. Pedro Carvalho had a competitive fight last time out with the Polak, who we both picked, by the way, in that fight. He had a split decision over Keani Diggs, who I don't rate very highly. Lost to Emmanuel Sanchez, and then the win over Saul Rogers to encourage him to go up. I just think that Daniel Vaishel is staying much more regular, facing a higher level of competition. It still has a little more left in the tank. Robert Whiteford showed me he was a quitter in that last fight. Honestly, I know it was an eye poke, but it was not a bad one, and I just don't trust the 39-year-old at this point. So I'll go with Daniel Vaishel by decision for sure.
Yeah, I literally cannot get a read on Whiteford for his whole career, his entire career. He's never looked impressive. Yeah, he's managed to grind out wins somehow, negating the offense. And maybe that's the impressive thing about him. He stops the offense coming at him and does just enough to frustrate opponents into losing a round. Like, he's never wowed me. Whereas Daniel Vaishel, he's, as you say, the last couple of years have taken like 10 years off of him. So it's such a difficult one to pick because they're both so stale at this point, and I don't know why they're still competing, to be honest with you.
No. I mean, they hardly should be fighting anybody besides themselves.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost the perfect matchup, and whoever loses,
in that sense.
Yeah, in that sense. So just to be different, I'll go with Robert Whiteford because he still manages to win these fights. He still manages to grind out these frustrating.
I mean, 3 years ago, Whiteford did.
Still, I don't know.
He hasn't fought in 3 years. And then when he came back, he faked an eye poke. He faked an eye poke 3 minutes into the fight because he was getting his ass beat.
I don't see Daniel doing that kind of pressure to him though, because he hasn't looked impressive either the last few times. But
at least he's facing guys like Gochi Yamauchi, and
it's true. I'm just still going to go Robert. It's just screaming at me like Robert decision because
-1. I'll take the favorite -150. Daniel Vaishel +125.
Yeah, Kelly's got it. You're saying he's impressively unimpressive, and it's true.
Yep,
he's impressive because he still wins, but he's so unimpressive in how he does it. But
yeah,
I mean,
and I said there was 11 fights. There's actually 13 fights on this card, so my mistake. But we're on to the main card here.
Easy fight.
I mean, the main card is as often with Bellator a little bit easier to predict than the prelims. If you can just write down 47-18 for Luke Trainer and message me these last ones, my marker's out of ink here.
Yeah, no.
Okay, I'll just say 47-18 Luke Trainer. Luke Trainer taking on Simone Biong here. Simone Biong out of Cameroon, 31 years old, 6'6" for both these guys, a 7-inch reach disadvantage for Simone though. 81-inch reach for Luke, the gent trainer here. Simone is 7-2 now. Has a very impressive highlight tape you can watch on YouTube from when he was in UFC and Nova FC and all these other places where he could get away with like elbowing opponents who weren't fighting back and things like that. Has a rear naked choke against Ernest Papa loss, and then his other loss coming to Christian Edwards. Christian Edwards just really dominated him, gave Christian Edwards a very, very, high amount of confidence going into that fight with Ben Parrish. And Ben Parrish eliminated that, and then Grant Neal further eliminated that. And now who knows what the story of Christian Edwards is, but definitely not the prospect we were promised here. That was last June. Just pretty much got handled by Christian Edwards in that fight. Luke Trainer, I rate higher than Christian Edwards, not to do MMA math here, but I have Brad Pickett's gym, Mickey Papas as well, training him. 26 years old here, 10 straight wins going back to his amateur career. 3 straight finishes as pro here. He has a few Euro Fight Night exhibition fights as well. Those not counting on his record, but he's beat the guys in front of him. Bellator. He's in his third fight now with Bellator. Alex O'Toole looked like he didn't belong in there with him. I'll be honest. That guy looked very small and not too impressive, and Luke Trainer just obliterated him. Same with Yannick Bahati. Went to a second round there. I like that he's able to keep the pace. He has underrated grappling, in my opinion. Good stand-up here. I think this is Luke Trainer by whatever he wants against Simone Biong here. I think he just obliterates him. Luke Trainer, first or second round finish, probably a first round finish.
Yep. 100%. The Jim Brad Pickett is great British top team, by the way.
Okay.
Used to be Titan. But it's Luke Trainer. All I've been hearing about this guy is just everything positive. The guy's a workaholic, specimen, learns so quickly, developing his game brilliantly. He's still young. He's younger than me, and he looks like that. I mean, ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, Luke Trainer's gonna run through Byung here, in my opinion. Just first round, smash into bits.
This is an absolute.
This is a Bellator champion in weighting.
Yeah, I think this is an absolute parlay piece too. It's under 300 right now, minus 280. I don't understand why it's not closer to like a minus 400 type of Charlie Ward line, to be honest. I do think that this matchup is all Luke Trainer. It's being set up that way. Byung is, athletic, and that's about it at this level. So plus 215 on Byung, plus 280 on Trainer. Trainer will be in a lot of my parlays through the weekend. That is for sure. So
he's my most confident pick on the entire card.
Yeah, I would say he's mine too. Honestly, a lot of
Paul Daley.
Right. I was about to say a lot of the main card is on my confidence. That, in fact, the next three this fight and then the Kielholtz fight are three of my more confident picks on the night. So 51-15 for Paul Daley. And Paul Daley taking on Wendell Giacomello in apparently his retirement fight. Originally it was supposed to be against Koreshkov. Koreshkov had to pull out. Now Wendell, the Brazilian, White Walker, stepping in here, 27 and a half years old here, the Pitbull brothers. I've gotten to watch quite a bit of Wendell over the last few months. Got to review his fight with LFA back in July, where he got the win there. Very fun fighter, Muay Thai style striker, aggressive. Very fun to watch. His fight with Urian Carlos was really a high-paced fight, tough fight. The Anderson Nascimento fight, impressively was able to finish it with the submission. And that's one of the parts of his game I can say is most impressive is how much he's shored up the jiu-jitsu part of his game. Came in as a Muay Thai style striker, and now his last two finishes have been by submission. Got submitted by Luis Cotto. Luis Cotto, not a bad fighter on the regional scene either. Urian and Carlos getting ready to fight again with LFA coming up. Not a bad fighter at all. Was supposed to take on Vanderson Alves, and then got the call about this fight. LFA is really good at laying their fighters out of contracts, and took this fight on short notice against Paul Daley. So, for Giacomello to win this fight, Giacomello's got to get this to the ground, which is how many fighters plans against Paul Daley at this point? It's easier said than done. Paul Daley has a very, very quick sprawl, and Giacomello I would not describe as having an over-assertive wrestling style. So I think a lot of this is going to take place on the feet, where Paul Daley has a huge advantage, both in speed and power. I just think that Paul Daley still has it, even 54 fights into his career here. I just think that this is a tough spot for Giacomello in London. The crowd is going to be completely behind him as well. He's coming off of a loss. He does not want to go into retirement with the 2 straight losses. Last loss came to Jason Jackson as well, one of the best in the 170 division. We saw how he looked against Sabah Humasi. Sabah Humasi by no means finished. Saeed Awad. Daley puts away Giacomello here, and I'm quite confident by KO.
Yeah, the thing is, you're saying Giacomello's best shout is to get Daley to the floor. That's everyone's tactic against Daley. Right. No one really, and Daley's no mug on the floor now either. He's, he worked on his defensive wrestling for many, many years. He's the original Team Roughhouse guy. Him, Dan Hardy, got like Nick Shipshack and a few others down there as well. But mate, I think he got a brown belt in jiu-jitsu like a few months back as well. Like he's not a slouch on the ground, but
he's very competent. Yeah,
Semtex for a reason, mate. He has got bombs in his hands, and everyone at the gym used to call him Mr. Tickle because he's got like a Dorito-shaped body like that, and then his arms are just ridiculously long. They're like curly whirlies, if you know that chocolate.
Nope.
It's an English chocolate then.
Yep, definitely not. We don't have curly whirlies here.
Go Google curly whirly. That's what his arms are like. He's
Curly whirly.
curly whirly.
Fucking
Making
Brits.
fun of me. Oh. But yeah, Daly's going to absolutely maul Wendell, in my opinion. And Wendell's taking this not on long, like he hasn't got a full training camp for this either. And
he was training for an LFA fight that's taking place this week
there's
too.
Difference in it. There's difference between an LFA fight and you getting full
Sure, but I'm not gonna bury LFA completely here. I mean, I do think that Wendell was on his way to, a Bellator or a UFC Contender Series kind of appearance. I think he's skipping the line a little bit here, and he's in a tough spot. So
for me, Paul Daley should never have been cut from the UFC. What he did to Josh Koscheck was what everyone should do to Josh Koscheck.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so I agree. Paul Daley minus 300. I like him with Luke Trainer as well. And those two together will get you to even. Luke Trainer, Daley, and then Kielholtz. Kelly saying gets you to plus 144, which leads us nicely into the next fight, which is our third from the top at 125. This is a good fight here. 56 even for Denise Kielholtz taking on Kana Watanabe here. Interesting fight. Right away, it's if you want to go layman's, we got the grappler versus the striker here. Kana Watanabe being the big grappler out of Japan here, 33 years old, 5'6", going to have a little bit of a size advantage here on Denise, but Denise is going to have a major speed advantage here. But, Kana, she's a specimen for sure. Had a terrible last fight. Got knocked out really quickly by Liz Carmouche, judoka style fighter. Yeah, got knocked out in 35 seconds by Liz Carmouche. Liz Carmouche went on to win the title, so there's that. And before that, very debatable split decision over Lara, but I do think that she won that split decision. Watanabe gets it to the floor, and she's going to stay in position over submission all the time. She does have the win by submission against, the Pitbull representative in Lara Jordan, or whatever her name was, Joanne. Yeah, who just goes in there and just looks the throw, and Watanabe just kind of laid on her and stayed there. I mean, that's what she's going to have to do here against Denise Kielholtz. If she gets into a kickboxing bout with Denise Kielholtz is going to knock her dead. Mm-hmm. I think that Watanabe is going to be shooting for a takedown within 30 seconds, trying to press it against the cage. And while Watanabe is going to maybe win the first round, that kind of prediction here, I just don't see her being able to do it for 3 rounds. But, I mean, if Denise just gets held down, she gets held down. I do, that is, I think, the only way she loses this fight. I think if it's on the feet, Denise is going to win every moment on the feet. She's going to be landing 2 to 3 shots per shot of Watanabe. I questioned Watanabe's chin after the last fight, and against Laura, she didn't want to trade with Laura at all. That's why it got into a split decision. It was so grappling dependent. This one to me, I'm not going to overthink it here. For me, I feel Denise Kielholtz is just much better on the feet, and I think it's going to take place on the feet. So give me Kielholtz. I really hope it's just, by I think it would be by finish, but I could see a decision where she's just able to cruise as well. I don't think it's going to be a close fight, honestly. I think Denise Kielholtz is on another level. I think coming off of that last fight, I think Kielholtz is going to be really, really hungry as well. She was just short of winning a title in that last fight against Velasquez. I get it. Velasquez not a crazy level fighter, but she was the champ. So it was a split that I think Kielholtz won. Kielholtz has been working on that aspect of her game. She's getting the finishes lately as well. Give me Kielholtz here I'll say by decision. But I'm just I don't know. I think she definitely could finish Watanabe as well. And it's all about staying off the ground. Watanabe's going to be looking for the takedowns early and often.
Well, what's super impressive about her is the fact that she's a female that does all these finishes. That's the major flaw you'd say with female MMA is the power ratio of finishing via TKO or KO. Not so much submission, because that's just, that's all relative. But as in the striking matchups are normally very, there's a big difference. I think Kana's going to be shooting for her life, and I think she's going to get a knee up the middle. She's going to get elbows in the clinch, and she's going to get the range controlled when she doesn't get what she wants. And there's such a difference in the striking. Denise is so much faster, so powerful, explosive, dynamic, and she's a decent level grappler. She has no mug on the floor either. She's submitted people before. I don't think she's as good, and you don't want to get in a clinch grappling fight with a judoka. You're going to get Taitoshi thrown or tripped onto the floor. So. Like an Ashigurami, like how Juan Espito did Alexander Romanov, if you remember, those sort of trips. That's what you got to watch out for, because you're going to land straight on your back with a full woman that's pretty hench, slamming onto you, and then you're inside control immediately, defending something while hurt. So those slams hurt. Those throws. But I just think Denise is going to overpower her. I'm with you. Don't overthink it. Who's better in the striking? Where's this matchup going to most likely take place? I think Denise is going to actually finish her. I think she's going to rock on the feet, finish her on the floor with TKO. I think ground and pound punches.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all. Trainer Daley Kielholtz parlay. I love it. You can get nearly plus 150 there. And to me, that's just 3 fights where you're not overthinking it, and the significantly better fighter. That's what you want in a 3 to 4 fight parlay. So I like that. Little spot there. 2 33-year-olds and Kielholtz and Watanabe is another thing to take into account, though. And we're moving on to the co-main event here. This is a real what the fuck, who knows type of fight.
How this is co-main event over Daley, I don't get it.
Yeah. But 1 hour or 1 minute and 22 seconds for Lyoto Machida versus Fabian Edwards here. Fabian Edwards, I'll make it known right now. I am a big non-fan of Fabian Edwards. Very much not a believer of this guy. So that might lead you into kind of maybe knowing where I'm going with this fight. Lyoto Machida makes his return to middleweight at 43, nearly 44 years old. It's been at 205 for a while now. Deciding I'm going back to middleweight. I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know if he's going to make weight. I don't know how he's going to look coming into this fight. This is one that, I hate to say it, I'm not putting $1 on until I see the weigh-ins, because that might make a decision for me. But Fabian, allegedly known as the Assassin Edwards, I'm not sure where he got that nickname from, but must have been a family member.
Leon.
Leon, 29 years old here, 6'1", 79.5-inch reach. Those are nice. 9-2, lost his last 2 fights. Has had a few fights canceled over the last year. Hasn't fought since May of last year, where he faced Vanderford. Vanderford just worked through him, never really had much of a test in that one. Took him down. Costello, Van Steenis. I had a split decision there. That one's definitely more relevant. Van Steenis was having quite a bit of success on the feet in that one. And yeah, I mean, it's just a split over Mike Shipman. I mean, that's just doesn't lead you a whole lot of encouragement here. I mean, he's got a win by decision over Lee Chadwick, who that's when Lee Chadwick realized he couldn't cut to 185 anymore. Severely compromised for that fight. Fabian Edwards just is kind of good in a few places, not great really anywhere. I would think his approach with this fight would be to use his wrestling more and try to use that to get to the win, because I just think on the feet he's not going to want to really mess with Lyoto. Still, even at 43. Lyoto is 43 years old, though. He's making a return to 185. He hasn't fought at 185 in a long time. It's been a long time since he kicked Randy Couture in the face. 3 straight losses for him. He was born in 1978. Yeah, I mean, it's been a while. But his last 3 losses have been to Gegard Mousasi by split, Phil Davis by split, and then Ryan Bader by decision. I mean, he's still tough, and he's facing a tough level of competition. He's fighting these fights close. I just think that Fabian Edwards has never been anyone near the level of the last 3 opponents of Machida, or Machida's level, really. I mean, Van Steenis is probably the closest level of competition you can compare, and I mean, Van Steenis is not great. He's fine. Machida's 44 years old.
I think Vanderford is very, very good.
Obviously, Vanderford, yes. Yeah,
But he was not competitive in that fight at all.
And it's not relevant. That's just not it, like the way you fight Vanderford and the way you fight Machida. Like
it's completely different. It's literally the opposite. Yeah,
yeah, and it's like again, do you think Fabian Edwards is going to split decision with any of those three guys that Machida's faced? It's like no, and it's like my concern is Machida's losing another 20 pounds. I think he's good. This is a brutal weight cut for him at 44 years old. My hope is that because he's fighting at 185, it's caused him to be very disciplined with his diet, more focused on his cardio coming into this fight. Those are the hopes, right? Fabian Edwards is younger. He's got way more of his career in front of him. He's training with his brother and others. I'm still taking Machida here, man. I think Machida is going to just get some sort of greasy split decision. This fight's going to be nasty. You don't want to bet on it heavy. But Machida's the underdog right now, and I'm going to take him here against Fabian Edwards. I just don't think Fabian Edwards beats Lyoto Machida.
Yeah, I think what the bookies are looking at is what the casual people are looking at, which is, Lyoto Machida's just lost 3 in a row and he's out of it now. He's 43 years old. I thought he looked okay against Gegard. I thought Gegard looked really flat in that fight. I thought the Phil Davis fight, Phil won that fight. It's not a split decision. Phil won that fight. And Bader also won that fight. But
still, they were close enough to be at least competitive.
He wasn't a physical specimen like he was in the UFC, which is why I think maybe he's cutting that pounds because he can lose it. Maybe it's just extra weight he doesn't require. So all I'm thinking in my head, as long as that weight cut goes all right, Lyoto Machida, even at this age, he hasn't slowed down that much. His style is a karate point-based fighting style, but he has excellent front kicks, excellent jabs, and an excellent cross. That's his 3 things. 2 things Fabian Edwards cannot defend are low leg kicks and a straight right down the pipe. He gets clipped every time he fights with one. Even Vanderford caught him with one down the middle, which is where you think Edwards has a massive advantage in the striking. Training with like Aiden Lee and his brother and amongst Jai Herbert, all these guys at Renegade ain't gonna fucking help against Lyoto Machida. There's no one at Renegade that's mimics Machida or is that size for a start. They're all like welterweight-ish middleweights. I like Lyoto Machida, but because it's in London, I think they might do him dirty. If it's a close fight, Fabian will get it.
Oh man, that's why I was feeling good about the plus 115 Machida.
But I am going Machida. I would say if you are to bet on it, I would bet on Machida personally.
Yeah, Machida's the underdog, plus 115 right now. Fabian Edwards minus 145.
How he's an underdog is mind-blowing to me.
I mean, 44 years old, but still, I mean, he literally is going to, be nearly 44 for the fight. So, of course, it is 3 o'clock. I have a dog who's getting here to be picked up, but I don't feel bad leaving you to set up this fight here. So go ahead and set up the main event, which we're starting at 1 hour, 7 minutes, and 38 seconds for Michael Venom Page and Logan Storley. I will be back in 2 seconds, but set it up, go into your fight pick, and I'll be back in a minute. But I'm excited to talk to this fight. 1 second.
Hell yeah, man. Well, where do you begin with MVP and Storley? We'll start. Well, I know a lot more about MVP, and I mentioned it earlier with Shoot Fighters, who he's actually training with at the moment. You got Jimmy Wallhead down there, who's making his return a few years out of competition, and I think he's like 37 now, but looking absolute beast right now. So you got the wrestling, the judo, and the relentless mauling style of Judo Jimmy. You got Darren Stewart looking in prime physical condition down there, looking back from Cage Warriors as well. It's a weird fight. It is a weird fight. Stylistically, if Michael can defend the takedown, if he can sprawl for his life in the elements where he's going to miss those dynamic creative strikes, where Logan's going to go for a takedown and he's going to eat a knee. That is what Michael's going to do. He is not afraid to jump in the air and do some spinning Tekken shit. He looks like a character out of Street Fighter when he fights for a reason, because he's so loose. He fought tomato cans for a long time, but when he did fight the better people, you were like, oh, okay, he can actually fight. He should have been fighting these people all along. He did lose to Douglas Lima. I'm not having that. He beat Douglas Lima. He lost that fight, and the only reason he won it is because of the location. It's a shit thing, but beating Ross Houston, that was the most boring fight on planet Earth. He beat Paul Daley in the most boring fight on planet Earth. So when he has to win, he can still do a job. He's here. The problem with MVP is here to entertain, doesn't put a plan together that is needed to win championship fight. That's the thing. We're going to find that out, aren't we? Whether he has got a game plan or not. I don't think he'll have a game plan. I think the game plan for MVP is go in and be yourself, be your creative self, and let the opposition figure you out. You are the superior athlete. You're the superior mixed martial artist. You've got a lot more for him to deal with than you have to deal with. I think Logan Storley's in for a tougher fight if he cannot get MVP down. And then there's the thing of, if you do get MVP down, is he just going to bounce straight back up, or is he going to accept the takedown? If he accepts it, it's going to be a long night, and it's going to be Logan all day, which is where I think the odds come into this. But for MVP, using those dynamic strikes, Logan goes in for a takedown, knees up the middle. His timing is possibly his best asset. MVP has better timing than 99% of the people in the UFC. It's just a genetic thing, instinct, whatever you want to think. He's just got it. He didn't teach the timing. He's always had it from his early fights, and you can see it when he knows someone's hurt. Just stands there and does a pose. He's there, he's there as the moneymaker. But Logan looked really good against Neiman Gracie, controlled the fight everywhere. The Pascu fight, the Brooks fight, the Shiro fight. I'm trying to name off the top of my head now. Logan's looked good. He's dominated. Other than the Shiro one, which was competitive, I think, if you put it on MMA maths and paper, Michael Page is so much fucking better than all those guys. Those guys, he whoops. So to me, I'm going, why is he the underdog? And it's just because of what Kelly put. He's there to entertain. I think he'll have a game plan. I think he'll still be himself, but I do think he'll have a game plan in this. And I like MVP as an underdog here. And in London, he'll get a decision.
Yeah, this is the thing. Like, we can go through both these guys' resumes and everything. It's just like, I think this fight is much more interesting to talk about the intangibles with, though. So, like, I'm not going to go and be like, Venom Page has beat Derek Anderson and blah, 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 blah. Like, I think what leads me to some, for one, I'm leaning towards MVP as well. That is where I'm leaning, especially with the price where it's at. I did put a bet in at MVP at plus 225 already. I do believe that will be the best price we'll get. I think as the week goes, I do think a little bit of money comes in on Michael Page.
I think it'll be even.
Side.
I think it'll be even by the time the fight comes in.
And the thing is that Logan Storley looked very good against Neiman Gracie. He was able to mix in the striking with the grappling. I think he's just got to be a pure grappler in this fight with Page. I think Page can finish him in any of the rounds at any point. And it's just like, with me, I don't know if we've seen Logan Storley get hit very cleanly in any of his fights and how he responds to that. But for me, I think it's a Storley decision or a Michael Venom Page KO. Or you get the London decision. I just think that with Lima, the reason Lima got screwed and robbed in his decision was he was mixing it up in their fights. So there were points where Page was really able to look confident or even like he was winning the fight. Logan Storley, it's going to be no doubt when he's winning in his rounds. You're going to know it's going to be a vertical domination or a horizontal domination for Storley with his chest against Venom's chest. Every moment that Venom's chest is not against Logan Storley's chest, Logan can get finished in that fight at any point when their chests are not against each other, though. That crowd is going to be the most insane crowd Storley's been in front of in his entire career. And Venom Page has run out of avoiding the wrestlers. And I think that every single one of his camps for the last however long have included, what are you going to do when you get to these elite wrestlers? I think that's been a part of every single of his development. And I don't think I look into this often when I see fighters making matchups. And it's like, he's not looking to make a matchup with Koreshkov. He's not looking to make another, Paul Daley kind of matchup. And then we can talk about the Paul Daley fight. And yes, he was able to. I think that fight really changed Michael Page for the better in a very good way, having that fight. And yes, obviously Storley is levels above Daley in the grappling and everything. I just think that of the two guys, Michael Venom Page can finish him throughout the 5 rounds. There is a possibility of a hometown decision for Michael Page as well. And
in this country. So corrupt.
And it wouldn't be the first time. And for Storley, he's just, he's got the easiest path to victory. It's to get the fight to the ground. But again, I think if Page hurts him, he puts him away. So my official prediction is going to be a round 4 TKO for Michael Venom Page. I think this is, a very interesting fight. Storley's first time over in Europe as well. He did take it on slightly short notice because Amasov had to pull out. All of these factors, traveling across the Atlantic, it's just Michael Venom Page in London at plus 250. I'm taking a shot.
He literally trains 25 minutes away from where he's fighting.
That crowd's going to be insane for Michael Page.
England, like as a general thing, so MMA in the UK is quite big now. It's getting big. MVP is more well known than Molly McCann.
Yeah.
And Paddy. Like I think maybe not Paddy, but like they're not far off in the UK. Like if I ask people, they'll go, I saw, because MVP is always headlined. So people see him on buses everywhere in London, on the side of buses. They see him on posters in the tube stations. Whereas you don't see Cage Warrior stuff, but you do see Bellator stuff. So I think MVP's name is more out there. He is well known. He's headlined more. And if you watch, like, I was asking Aaron Oxley about this, who's Dan Hardy's mate. But when Jimmy Warhead was training with MVP, Jimmy Warhead mauls everyone in the gym at Hardy Warhead. Mauls them all for fun. Like, they're all out of breath after the first round. He's laughing, giggling, while in mount just smashing the bits, taking the piss, right? And these are professional fighters. Very good guy, right? When he trained with MVP, he was exhausted in like 90 seconds and was like, he's the real fucking deal. Like, first time he properly trained for like the couple years off, and they're back in sessions now. He's a judo guy. He's a grappler himself. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He's training it. Like, there's MVP has the right guys around him. I think I mentioned it you mentioned it as well. It's like when he fought Paul Daley and when he fought Ross Houston, he can win a boring as fuck fight if he wants to. He can make it shit and still win the round.
Yeah.
This is style. He can bounce in and out of range before you can even get there, just because he's so light on his feet, and he's got that karate point style fighting style.
He's got pretty good knees for those takedowns as well. Definitely going to be making you think about those.
Unbelievable knees. Not to mention the spinning tornado kicks you can do out of nowhere.
He's got a good sprawl, and he's got a 7-inch reach advantage on his opponent.
He's a long guy. Long limbs.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I know we've talked mostly about Venom Page in this breakdown here, so beating the comments to that. I get it. Logan should be a favorite. I'm not questioning that. Nah. This size of a favorite is wrong, and in London is wrong. Like, yeah, Kelly said, he broke a man's skull. Literally, that noise.
Bang.
Yeah, and it was. I mean, it's just like he broke. I mean, he is the only guy to finish Derek Anderson. Derek Anderson's been hit a lot in his career, and hard. He didn't have a choice. He was finished in that fight. I mean, Logan Storley is going to – if Logan Storley's hit the hardest he's been in his career, how does he respond to that when it's Michael Page doing it? So these are the things. I get why Michael Page is the underdog. I get that Logan has gone 5 rounds and Michael Page hasn't. I get all that. I'm just saying, like, the price is wrong, bitch, and I'm taking a shot on the dog here, and I'm picking him to finish this fight inside the distance. I get he hasn't gone to the fifth round. I think he wears him down and gets a 4th round finish here. But
his style was fine for 5 rounds. He'll be fine.
Should be a good one there, but that is going to do it for the Bellator of 281 breakdown show live from London, starting probably around 11 a.m. here in the States or so. Do you know what time it's starting over there? Like 4 o'clock your time?
I think doors open at like 4:35 p.m. Yeah. So
okay, so it might be like a 5 or 6. So like a 1 o'clock start over here. So again, an afternoon with
midday.
Yep, an afternoon with Bellator, followed by the evening with LFA. LFA breakdown will be on the channel tomorrow with Lucky Locks picks, as well as the UFC breakdown for this weekend. Headlined by a fantastic light heavyweight fight between Alexander Rakic and Jan Blachowicz. Norton MMA has 3-4 breakdowns for this weekend's fights over there, so go check those out.
One more coming out tonight as well.
One more coming.
David Grant will be out tonight.
So definitely you want to check those out over on Norton MMA. And then tomorrow I will be here either with somebody for the UFC breakdown show or on my own. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Lewis is dealing with some work stuff right now, so it happens. No big deal. But this is the Bellator breakdown.
Rakic and Grant.
Rakic and Grant are your leans there. I agree with those. I'll say that much. Definitely Davey Grant.
Definitely Davy Grant. Yeah.
Oh my God!
I'll
say, and I was reported from Kelly, an unnamed analyst decided to pick Luis Smolka by submission, and told other people to bet that. Shame on that person.
Fucking KO'd quick. That's what I was saying.
Shame on that person for making such irresponsible announcement to people. And this is why I don't listen to any other people other than the people who come on my show. So for Aaron the Dog, for Lewis, and the stubborn Vic himself, Kelly, we're out of here. Enjoy the Bellator LFA breakdown tomorrow, UFC breakdown tomorrow. Peace.